So in Twin City, Georgia, you got Shamarcus Jamil Carr going on live while he's cooking lasagna, ranting about his wife, Zaria Khadijah Carr, who goes by Dutchess Dior. So he's on there just ranting about her, and it looks like just the regular couple things. He's talking about her, she's yelling in the background. Although the rest of us kind of knew something was getting ready to happen, for some reason she didn't. Let's get into it. Okay, before I tell you about the incident, we gotta really talk about who these people are, okay? Now, Dutchess Dior, that's what she goes by on Facebook. All this drama took place on Facebook. It found its way on TikTok, and only TikTok is the homeland of the drama. But Dutchess Dior was apparently a correctional officer. And Shamarcus, who goes by the Frenchman, and we're going to just continue to call him the Frenchman because it's easier. I believe he got that name because at some point he was breeding French bulldogs. So at this point, we never know where people get their names from. But she was a correctional officer, and it is believed that he at one point was in the prison that she was a correctional officer in. And when he got out, she allegedly moved him into her home, and they began this relationship, and she ended up getting pregnant. She already had a son. She ended up getting pregnant, and upon getting pregnant, I guess somehow they end up getting married, and then this tumultuous relationship began, and it's considered tumultuous. So they went back and forth. The law was involved in the drama. As a matter of fact, his mother went on record by saying that they all knew that their marriage was toxic, but they could not be together. Okay. Now, look, I'm T Styles. I spent the last 20 years creating monsters for a living. I create these type of characters, and I'm going to go into the 6 ways I think that how everything went wrong, and then give y'all more details so you can find out what happened. So I wanted to start back there. They were talking about, by they, Dutchess and Shamarcus, or Dutchess and the Frenchman, if you will. They were airing each other's dirty laundry out. When I say they were airing it, it went crazy. These aren't big YouTubers or big TikTok people. He went on live to explain why they were having problems. He's talking about her cheating. He's talking about the fact that at one point he believes, because he wasn't having really good, y'all see that thing on my face, is my thing in the background. He wasn't having really good financial success. Things just didn't seem to work out for him. So he was talking about how he believed that there was a spell put on him. He was talking wholeheartedly. But the thing that made this like real creepy was the way that Dutchess was acting. She's laughing in the background. She's antagonizing to the point where there are some people who are, which is sad, are blaming her for getting it revved up, which is a absolutely no. You could tell that this type of thing happened so much that she just thought it was normal, and then normal that it wasn't, even to the point where she ends up saying one thing that ended up resulting in her unaliving. Okay, so let's first go into what happened that day. Okay, so earlier that day, Dutchess Dior posted a post on her Facebook. Okay, it says, "I really don't know what to do, but I need help before I lose my life or my freedom. My kids need me." That's what she she actually did post that on her Facebook. Okay, people was in the comments saying, "Girl, we talked to you about this before. You know what it is. You need to leave him. I don't know why y'all keep getting back together in the first, second, or third place." She's not really trying to hear that. She just letting her stuff come out. Okay, so then the Frenchman gets onto his live and begin talking. Now he said in the live, "Look, I've been cheating, effing off, doing my thing." So she get pregnant, I guess allegedly by herself. We know that ain't the case. "And I F around and cheat while she pregnant." This is what he goes on live and saying. He's admitting to this thing. Now Zaria in the background was like, "You're going to tell all of it. You were tricking off $100 for these girls' telephone numbers and this, that, and the third. And you weren't even paying the bills in the house." So he was like, "Listen, I was only really cheating on you when I was in prison because like I needed a pen pal." And she's like, "You needed a pen pal? I was your pen pal." Now he's continuously talking. His belly's in front of the camera. He's talking to his live. And she attempts to take the phone from him, and you can see the phone going in and out. Second later, she grabbed the phone and then just runs.
Trying to tell you, look at here, man. Get out my line now. I'm telling you, leave it alone now. Get out my line. Go make your own line.
And that ends that particular live. This is when things started getting really crazy, as if it doesn't get crazy already. She can now be heard in the background saying, listen, the Frenchman just mad because of the Gucci shades. I threatened to take him back and he had a problem with it. Whereas while she's saying all of that, the Frenchman is like, what it really is about is that she was trying to mess with a dude named Squeeze. Okay? All of this is going on live. We don't know who these characters are, but it's just like in a good book. You just got to pay attention and listen. So Zaria is in the background. She's taller than him. Look, I want to tell my truth. I was not trying to mess with Squeeze. As a matter of fact, the only problem that I had with the whole Squeeze situation was letting him know that you, talking about the Frenchman, was trying to mess with his girlfriend. Now, this is just regular messy drama people are thinking. So then he yells out, what the F that gives you the right to sleep with him? People are watching this. This live went on for an hour. People are watching it just at this point trying to figure out, okay, what else are they going to say? And if you're just looking for the messiness, it did not disappoint. Then he proceeds to say, this is the type of B that get beat, long story short. The Frenchman says this about Zaria as she's going off in the background. Before grabbing I keep one with me. Before grabbing that, he said this is the type of B that gets whooped, long story short. And then he reminds her to stay out of his live. Now I'm gonna put the clip right here.
You tried hit me.
Say something.
You tried hit me.
Say something else in my life. Bitch, sit back and listen.
Oh, you finna stab me?
Sit back and listen.
Are you finna stab me? He lied though.
Okay.
If I get off this line, you ain't gonna make it out the door. And I'm gonna do it to you.
If you couldn't hear her, she said, so what? You're going to me? Because he grabbed it right there. He then threatened and said, if I get off this live, you ain't going to make it out the door. This is one of the reasons why people were like, is she not reading the room and seeing what's going on, or are we tripping? At some point, the chat are like, listen, she's talking in the background. We want to hear her side of it. So she gets on and starts telling her side. Prior to that, though, y'all, the live got so raunchy that it just needed to be in one of my books. For instance, at some point, he claimed that she had one of the things that you would get sometimes if you have a cold sore, but he claimed she had it. And that she asked him, can you look at it? Now, this is not me just making this up. They were talking about it on live.
So the doctor tell her, when she get her results, the damn folk tell her I'm thinking in my head that you gotta have an outbreak. You know what I'm saying? You know this society got that, you have this shit, all that shit. Right. So, boom. She ain't had an outbreak, no none of that, all that shit. They had to run blood. So I'm thinking, goddamn, they playing a mistake or whatever. Cool. So,
She said he thought it was a mistake.
What it was? I think it was last month. So I'm in there watching the game or something, whatever the fuck I'm doing in the room. She come in there, babe. Matt Raw, what's wrong with my ass? Can you look and see?
She asked him because there was a problem down. Can you look at it? So he looked at it and saw a bunch of these things that will pop up if you have a cold sore. And said, you know what? I do see a lot. To which she went to see a doctor, and the doctor says, look, I'm going to prescribe you this for that because you definitely got that. It tested positive for that. Okay? In addition to that, he said, I'm going to give you some medicines so that when they outbreak anywhere, that you'll be able to have something for that. Okay? Now, she said, I'm going to give you some medicine. I want you to give some to your partner. But she would not allow him to have his medicine. He's saying all this, and she's in the background not denying it. Matter of fact, saying, but yeah, it was whatever, but you ain't had no problem kissing it. Like this, when I say this live was that mad, I'm speaking about it being that mad. At some point, he started talking about his troubles. I'm going to get to the thing that ended up causing her to be unalive as well as him. But at some point, he was talking about his financial struggles and said that he went to a lady to speak to her because he believed that somebody put a root on him. She confirmed it and said it's somebody probably related to his wife.
So I went and got a reading, read me, boom, told me my wife, somebody in my wife's family got roots on me. They're praying on my brain. They praying on my downfall. They don't want to see me with shit. They playing with my finances and my money, goddamn blessings.
Even accused his wife of doing that too. And he was saying that was the reason why he was having the struggles that he was having, that this thing had been put on him. It was total anarchy. It was interesting by itself before things took a darker turn. At some point, she said the following: I'm going to tell y'all what happened to Oodie.
Why are you lying on me? I never touched a nigga. I ain't been around a nigga.
Alright,
Then,
I'll give you a shot.
now, let me finish. I'm on live. You had them 2 hours.
You better go on your live.
Now you don't want the phone back.
No, I'll give you a shot.
Oh, I ain't get to tell you. I ain't get to tell about Oodie. Then,
I swear you'll die.
Now, people were speculating after this happened because he was so angry. As a matter of fact, when she says, I'm going to tell the chat what happened to Oodie, I bet you ain't tell him that, because nothing else was triggering him. In her mind, she probably felt like he was coming out on top of this argument. So now it's time for me to go lower. And he said, and I quote, I swear you'll be unalived. So actually it was not a quote, but I'm trying to make sure this thing stay up. She laughed nervously and says, damn, I gotta be unalived about that? I ain't willing to be unalived about that, y'all. So I guess y'all want to know the tea right now. A couple of things happened. The live went dark, and then we found out what happened on June 14th. According to the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, around 9:30 p.m. on June 14th, deputies responded to a domestic disturbance. Something was going on at a home on the 5th Avenue in Twin City. When they arrived, they found Zaria unresponsive and later pronounced her unalived. But Shamarcus, or the Frenchman, was nowhere to be found. He reportedly fled the scene in her 2021 Dodge Charger. So a bolo was put out for him. Just about 11 o'clock p.m. in Wayne County, they located the vehicle at a traffic stop. But instead of going willingly, he pew-pewed himself. He was rushed to the hospital, but was later unalived from a self-inflicted wound. Now, based on how he acted about her saying, I'm going to tell him about Oodie or Oodie or whoever you want to call him, based on how he was acting, and when he said, now I basically got to unalive you, people went on to speculate as to the nature of their relationship. Some was calling him on the DL and all of that kind of stuff. People always go that route because you've heard of stories where men will do whatever they can to prevent the truth from coming out. But upon research, it appears that person, Oodie, was a friend of his, a good friend. They're calling him almost his best friend. I'm going to put the clips down here so you can see him. And it appears that it's alleged that whispers have been said that Shamarcus, the Frenchman, has something to do with Oodie's being unalived for finance. And her making that threat was so fearful to him for a lot of reasons. Some believe because he had to still walk around the city and the town, and if people thought that he was responsible for that, especially since he came to the funeral, show love and all that kind of stuff, and was involved after his passing, that would have made him a marked man. And that was the reason why he did what he did. I think more information is going to come out about this because, again, people are just blown away by the information that was coming out on his live. But it appears it has nothing to do with him being on the DL. So people are saying that probably need to stop. I'm almost certain, upon looking at this video over and over again, that he wanted to, what I call, drive his pain, or his anger rather, to his point. It was almost as if he felt like she kept calling him broke. You ain't got this, you ain't got that. With him having a record, you already know it's going to already be harder for him to do some of the things that he probably want to do. Not saying that's anybody's fault but his own, but still. She called him broke, called him all of that. She had put him out before. They've had issues before. It was almost like he knew that this was going to be the end. And I'm wondering if this was not always a part of the story. Now, everybody not playing. I know a lot of us think that we can control, or we know when a person is going to snap because they got smiles on their face like they was in their video. But some of the most dangerous things happen with a person and they smile on their face.
I would say it like this. Damn, bro, sorry to take you serious, my nigga. And shit, I thought it was just a typical